We're going to get an insight into Arsene Wenger. Good evening, John.
Hello, very good evening to you.
Very good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, can you give us an update on the press conference today? What was said, what wasn't said? Obviously about the players we know about. Was anything asked about his future?
Well, no, it was more about Usmanov, to be honest with you. And I mean, look, if you see it from Arsene Wenger's point of view, I guess his future's not up for up for doubt at the moment, is it really? Usmanov, though, raised some really interesting points. I think he insisted he does listen to criticism. He acts on criticism. He's been in management for too long to not listen and ignore criticism. He says he's excited by the team. He says he's got a lot of faith in the team, and he doesn't think that when everyone's back and fit, that the team needs strengthening, which I guess Arsenal fans might disagree with, but that's his viewpoint, isn't it? And you wouldn't expect him to say anything different, really. I think the big area, obviously, is where Arsenal probably needs strengthening, is in central defence in particular.
And in terms of Usmanov has said that Wenger couldn't take criticism or things like that, and then Wenger saying, well, it shouldn't be broadcast in the public. I mean, it's not good for the club at this particular point in time, is it?
What I thought was strange on a couple of levels, really, was firstly Usmanov, who's really kept a very sort of dignified distance, I guess, raising it in the first place. I only find it strange because it's quite a big departure for him from previous sort of interviews and statements where he's been very supportive and respectful of Wenger, who he's met on a number of occasions. And I think that was the surprise. And then on the back of that, I think it was surprising that Arsene Wenger was so openly critical about a man who owns so many shares and is a supporter of the club. So I think that really, if you can look at it in like that, in those sort of terms, I do actually think it was surprising from Arsene Wenger's point of view that he was so openly critical and so strong in his criticism of Usmanov. I actually kind of respected him for having a go back and saying what he thought, but normally when you're talking about such a significant shareholder and stakeholder in the club, most managers would sort of err on the side of caution and diplomacy.
And we've already talked about it's the worst start since 1982. I mean, do you think the pressure will mount and mount that will inevitably see Wenger go? Or if he was a betting man, would you say Wenger will be there at the end of the season?
Oh, I think there's absolutely no question that he'll be there at the end of the season. I mean, really, does anyone expect him to go mid-season? No, I don't think so. I don't think even his biggest critics would expect that, would they? But look, I think the biggest issue for me is the fans. I think if the fans do make it so uncomfortable for him, if Arsenal do miss out on the top four, which is the age-old debate, isn't it? How many years we've been having this? Then I do think there might be a situation where he feels probably it's time to step aside. But my hunch is that he signed for 3 years in the summer, and it will be there for 3 years.
Oh God!
Arsene Wenger is a stubborn man who I don't think would walk away from an £8 million contract lightly, would he? And I think that's the issue. That might not be what Arsenal fans want to hear, but from the inside looking out, as Arsene Wenger's eyes, I just don't think that's something on his mind at the moment. I think he signed for 3 years to be there for 3 years, to stay and manage for another 3 years.
Okay, and before you go, John, I mean, the updates on Jack Wilshire, where are we with Jack Wilshire? And obviously, Koscielny comes back tomorrow. Koscielny, I should say.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a dilemma over as to whether he starts Koscielny, hasn't he? But I mean, I think you see Martinez in goal. Koscielny is a bit more of a dilemma for him. Bearing in mind he's been out for such a long time. Jack Wilshire facing a long spell on the sidelines, really. I mean, surgery was mentioned today. If that's the case, then that's a lengthy layoff, which is a hammer blow for Jack Wilshire, just because I think he's a player that needs games and needs to get into a rhythm of games to be at his very best, and he's really hit his form recently, I think, and so it's such a shame and such a setback for him to be out for a number of weeks.
John, thank you very much indeed. Hopefully you'll get a result tomorrow, or otherwise the back pages will be full of Arsenal for one more day. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much indeed.